What we want to show you is that there are members of Congress, and again, it's not most, but there are members of Congress who are defending some of the most violent, anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish, anti-Israel rhetoric, like Rashida Tlaib, who is defending on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it, this statement from the river to the sea, pushing Jews out completely of Israel, eliminating the Jews in Israel.
Mr. President, the American people are not with you on this one.
Innocent civilians are going to be hurt going forward. I wish I could tell you something different. I wish that wasn't going to happen, but it is going to happen.
I want to thank President Biden for his unequivocal support.
We will remember in 2024.
This is disgusting. Hamas decimated brutally in a terror attack, a act of war in a way we have not seen since Nazi Germany. And she's wondering why calling something from the sea, from the river to the sea, is not a little offensive if you're Jewish or pro-Israel. And none of these statements are made without symbolism. They love symbolism.
And that's what they live for. They choose the dates that they choose for symbolic reasons and symbolic purposes, whether it's to celebrate victories or to celebrate defeats over Christians or the slaughter of Christians, whatever that is, or Jews. They pick these dates. I feel like I'm living in Berlin, Jay, in 1938.
No, it does feel that way.
I mean, I feel like I look around and I see that, and I believe in protests and peaceful protests, but it looked to me like a Nuremberg rally.
They are hypnotized. I mean, it's unreal. And these young people in college marching with Hamas. Do you know what you're marching with? Do you know what you're supporting? Your liberal cause, everything you stand for, they would exterminate you for.
Yep.
Everything.
Yeah. Women's rights, gay rights, religious freedom,
yes.
freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, all of those rights.
I guess all these young 23-year-old females, 18-year-old females want to wear burqas, mandated?
And not be educated.
Because they wouldn't be in college.
And allow their husbands to beat them because that's okay in that part of the world.
It's allowed under
Not
Sharia
only is it
law.
allowed under Sharia law, it'd be encouraged. So, I mean, this is what I saw. I see these LGBT groups, they're marching with Hamas. I'm thinking, you'd be the first group to go.
Yeah.
I mean, and it wouldn't even be a question. They'd kill you in the street.
When I see these students marching with, making the statement, I'm going to put the map back on the screen, okay? From the river to the sea. And in between the river and the sea, by the way, is one place, Israel. So that eliminates Israel. That these groups, so-called left-wing or liberal groups, are marching with these people that, as you said, would throw them off a building, would slaughter them in the streets. This was the same group, by the way, that stabbed to death 42 times in Gaza in broad daylight a Christian man who was the operator of the Palestinian Bible Society, and then the local cleric, sheikh, wanted to take custody of his children. These was a Christian family. We got them out of there and got those hostages released because of the help of Israel, I might add. However, these groups that are marching with them, they need to know what they do. Okay? So, they could think it's they're doing some kind of noble task. They have no clue, Rick, who they are even engaged with. No idea.
The media won't tell them. The Democrats won't tell them. These are the stories that are making it very clear which side you're on. The reality is, and we should say it constantly, is that Jews, Muslims, and Christians all live peacefully in Jerusalem right now. Ask yourself, why aren't they able to live in Gaza peacefully? And it's because of the government and the acquiescence to the government of a terrorist group named Hamas. Shame on the UN for pretending like they can give aid to the government in Gaza which is a terrorist organization, and think that somehow it's going to get to the people. It's not. All of the leaders of Hamas are living outside of the area, and they're billionaires. There is hundreds of millions of dollars that Hamas has as part of their empire, as Hamas Inc. But the people don't get it. What we need is nations, groups like the European Union, the UN, to be very clear-eyed about who the government in Gaza is and act accordingly.
This phrase is very simple, from the river to the sea. So you think about, we can put the image up on the screen, the sea being the Mediterranean, the river being the Jordan River. If the Jews were pushed out of between the river and the sea, where are the Jews? They're eliminated. And yet Rashida Tlaib, who promotes this statement, Dad, defended it in a statement on X, or Twitter as people know. She said, from the river to the sea is an aspirational call for freedom, human rights, and peaceful coexistence, not death, destruction, or hate.
That's totally a lie. Representative Tlaib is lying. Of course she knows that. This is a phrase, as Jordan said, that the PLO originated in the early 1964, actually. And when they say to the river, from the river to the sea, they're talking about the extermination of the Jewish state. Remember, that phrase started being used about 15 years after the state of Israel was established. So she knows exactly what she's seeing. There's nothing aspirational. The only aspirational aspect of it is the aspirational aspects of groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, to remove Israel as a Jewish state. That's what that is. And for them not to condemn it is unbelievable.
From the river. What river are we talking about? The Jordan. What sea are we talking about?
Screen.
Fine. We're talking about the Mediterranean Sea. I'm looking at a map right now. If you look at the river where it says the river, that's the Jordan River, where John the Baptist baptized Christ. That's the Mediterranean Sea, Mare Nostrum, the Roman Sea, the sea that was the center of the universe in the Roman Empire. In between that lies Israel. And when you say from the river to the sea, there's no other way to interpret that but the eradication of the state of Israel, the eradication of 8 million Jews. Where have we heard of the eradication of millions of Jews before? We heard it in Nazi Germany. We're hearing it again.
Tlaib's right about this. From the river to the sea is aspirational. It's aspirational if you're a terrorist. It's aspirational if you want to see the elimination of the Jewish state and the Jewish people. That's aspirational for if you're a terrorist. Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, who, by the way, now has launched 32 attacks on U.S. outposts and U.S. military installations. 32.